I know this guy named Amir who lives in the Florentine neighborhood of Tel Aviv. And Amir is a dealer. And he lives his life as a lot of dealers live their life. It's a crazy hours, not always the safest conditions, a lot of unsteady, shaky meetings. But every year, each and every year, Amir continues his work dealing. Because Amir says that it is so lucrative. He gets so much money through his work that he can't not afford to do it. I forgot to tell you the product that Amir deals in. Amir deals etrogs. Amir deals etrogim, the lemon-like fruit that we have on Sukkot, that are part of the Arba Minim, the 4 species that we shake. And why it is such a lucrative business is because there are people willing to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on the most beautiful etrogim that they can find. And if you've ever been to Jerusalem, if you've ever been to Jerusalem but right before Sukkot, you will see some people who get so intense with this idea of picking out the right etrog, they actually get the jeweler's magnifying glasses out and really study them. And this all comes from an idea, an interpretation of an idea in the Torah that we call Hidur Mitzvah. That when we do a commandment, that when we do a mitzvah, that we are supposed to make it beautiful. It originally comes into play at the song at the sea, Az Yashir, the idea of glorifying and making a mitzvah more beautiful. And so a lot of interpretation of how we make our mitzvot, hidur, how we make them beautiful, is sometimes through a material way. You could say kiddush over a wooden cup, it's a mitzvah. But you can say kiddush over a silver cup, gold-plated, beautiful, hundreds of dollars kiddush cup, and that for some people is hidur mitzvah, beautifying the mitzvah. And if that is how you interpret hidur mitzvah, there's no judgment here. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. But I think there's more than one way to interpret the idea of hidur mitzvah, of making a mitzvah beautiful. And I think we get a really prime example in our Torah portion this morning. In Parashat Ki Tavo, we have in one of my favorite sections in all of Torah, the passage that we read each and every year at our Pesach Seders, where we say, Arami Oved Avi, my father was a wandering Aramaean, and it tells the story of the Jewish people, and the culmination of that story is to say, and here I am now bringing my first fruits. It is a mitzvah called Bikurim. After a tree is allowed to grow for 3 years, a mitzvah that is called Orla, which is why, by the way, we have the tradition, some have the tradition of not cutting a child's hair for 3 years. Ezra's hair, if he looks a little crazy, it's because he's not quite 3 yet. But there's a tradition there. We don't harvest our first fruits, we don't give our first fruits until they're 3, until our trees are 3. And so this mitzvah that we read about in our Torah portion this morning says that when we gather those first fruits, we come on the holiday of Shavuot, and we give them to the Kohen, and we present our fruits to the Kohen, and we say these words, Arami Oved Avi, my father was a wandering Aramaean, and we tell the story of the Jewish people, and then we get to a point where we say, and here I am, giving my first fruits. Now, why this is an interesting passage, and the commentators go crazy over this passage, is because there is an emphasis placed on one part of this mitzvah that seems kind of unnecessary. But as we know, whenever something shows up in the Torah, it's never unnecessary. There's reason for it, there's rationale there. And they say when you perform this mitzvah of Bikurim, when you perform the mitzvah of bringing the first fruits, it need to be in a basket. They need to be gathered in a basket, and they need to be brought at a pilgrimage festival, Shavuot. To me, this is the idea of Hidur Mitzvah. We don't take a piece of fruit and bring it to the Kohen and say, here is my contribution. Here are my first fruits. We gather everything, our good fruit, our fruit that's a little moldy, our fruit that has some blemishes on it, all of it. And we put it in a basket. And with all of our fellow Jews around us, we come up and we make pilgrimage and we do the mitzvah together. Now, to me, the idea of that mitzvah is not that it is beautified through a very gorgeous basket, although it could be. But the idea of beautifying the mitzvah is that it's done by encompassing everything and everyone with it. We are in the season of tshuva, and it feels really heavy to enter the season of tshuva at a time when it feels like we are more divided than we've ever been. Going into Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur after another week of sorrow, of heartbreak, of violence, of intolerance, and cowardice. It is enough for us to throw our hands in the air and say, Genug. I don't know what to do from here. It's easy to do that. It's easy. And I can see how we would want to. Because there are times when we feel like we're making some inroads, and then there are times where it feels like we're taking 10 steps backwards. Another school shooting, a horrible political assassination, violence, the inability for us after these horrible moments to find common ground. It's horrible. It feels defeating. And yet, we are asked to come together, starting tonight at Slichot, and we are asked to beautify our mitzvot. And to beautify our mitzvot not by making everything materialistically more beautiful, but by doing it together. We don't have the choice. We have to figure it out together. It is unfair and very theologically challenging that on Yom Kippur and tonight at Slichot, that we have to stand up and hit our chest, and we have to say it in the plural. Ashamnu, bagadnu, gazalnu, to say that we did something. Rabbi has asked an important question to say, what if I wasn't the one who did it? I didn't do this horrible thing. Why am I beating my chest and saying that I did it? And our rabbis say, because you don't get to separate yourself from people. You might not have done it, but we did it. As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel often said, you are guilty, but all are responsible. Judaism does not exist as a solo enterprise. It doesn't. The idea of Hidur mitzvah is not that we come and bring a mitzvah by ourselves. It is a mitzvah to lay tefillin. It is Hidur mitzvah to come to minyan and lay tefillin with others. It is a mitzvah to give charity, to give tzedakah. It is Hidur mitzvah to raise a fundraiser, to organize a fundraiser, and to have everyone collectively give to a just and beautiful cause. It is a mitzvah to visit the sick. It is Hidur mitzvah to organize people to come in each day to visit that individual. That is who we are. And there are times when we don't want to do it, where we want to say, I'm sorry, you're on your own. I'm not doing this anymore. But that is not Judaism. Judaism forces us to have the hardest conversations that we might not want to have, and it says, you got to do it. In our tradition, we call it a machloket l'shem shamayim. It is directly linked to, I think, one of the most powerful teachings in all of Judaism, which comes from Pirkei Avot, which says that the day is long, the work is hard, and the taskmaster is demanding, but just as we are not forced to complete the work, we are not allowed to desist from it. We are allowed to be sad, to be angry, to throw up our hands in frustration, and to say, when are we going to get this right? We are allowed to say those things. But what we are never allowed to do as Jews is to give up on us. Ever. Even when it is so easy to do so. As we go into the season of tshuva, we're going to focus a lot on mitzvahs. What our mitzvahs say and what our mitzvahs do in the world around us. And we are given the opportunity not just to complete mitzvot, but to hidur the mitzvah, to make the mitzvah more beautiful. And the way that we make the mitzvah more beautiful is by including as many hearts in it as we possibly can. To have a Shabbat dinner is a mitzvah. To bring in friends and family and strangers into our Shabbat dinner is to hidur the mitzvah. To be able to atone and pray with one another is a mitzvah. But to do so with open hearts where we hold on to one another and listen to each other and try to find common ground with another, that is hidur ha-mitzvah. There is a reason that the national anthem of Israel is Hatikvah. Because over and over and over again in Jewish history, it would be easy to say, Genug. That's it. I don't know where we go. But we never have. We don't give up. And we're not giving up now. And if anything, as we go into the season of tshuva, the season of repentance, the season of mitzvot, we are reminded that the holy car, the entire essence of who we are, is based on the idea that life is with people. Life is with one another. This is family. Family doesn't always get along. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but we don't always get along. We don't always see eye to eye, but we're always family. And our dedication and our promise as we walk into a new year of 5786 is that we don't give up on family. Here are our first fruits. We bring them in a basket. Some are a little mushy. Some are a little bruised. Not all of them are perfect. But we bring them in the basket. We bring them together. And we say, Arami Oved Avi, my father was a wandering Aramean, and though we have traveled so long and so far, here are our first fruits. And we're not giving up. Shabbat Shalom.